Tracking breaking news this morning, a possible new clue in the search for a missing Malaysia airliner. A short time ago, Malaysia's defense minister was literally handed a piece of paper, important information, at a news conference.
But the news that I just received is that the Chinese ambassador received satellite image of floating objects in the southern corridor, and they will be sending ships to verify. The Beijing government will announce this in a couple of hours. This floating object is 22 meters long and 30 meters wide.
So to talk about this a little bit more, we brought in an expert. We have Rob Bremmer joining us once again. You are a commercial pilot, you were an instructor, you helped in one of these crash scenarios before. You have more than 20 years experience. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Matt. Thank you.
Okay, so when we are talking about that object, this is the big news from overnight. This is translated to a floating object measuring 72 feet by 42 feet. Is there anything that large on a 777 to your knowledge?
It's possible it could be potentially part of a fuselage or part of a wing, but until we can see a more clear picture from a satellite image or from somebody who's actually on scene and they can see a curvature of the structure or perhaps an angle that would be part of the 777, we just can't tell.
Now, there's been a big focus on regards to the pilot and the co-pilot and what was taken from their house just a few days ago. So one of those items was their flight simulator. What sort of information would they want to extract from that flight simulator, and is it unusual to have one in a pilot's house?
Well, it's not unusual at all. Any pilot is interested in ways to practice and even just to play around on the flight simulator. What is interesting is that there are some missing or deleted files that seems very strange that would happen. Typically, it's used by the pilot to practice different scenarios. They might try what-ifs, or they might just try to get better at landing in a particular place.
Now, this has been an area of your expertise for, a big chunk of your life. Talk to me about the fact that it's been 15 days, and really this is our first big clue if it pans out. I mean, what are you expecting to see later today? What are you hoping for?
Well, we're really grasping for clues. There's two pieces of evidence here. There was a satellite that painted a line and said the aircraft is somewhere potentially on or was on this line, and then we also found some wreckage that was near the line, and so that's two data points, and they happen to coincide, and so they're going to look in that area. But if that doesn't pan out, they'll be back out to the other areas of the line looking for other possibilities, perhaps even on land.
All right, Rob, stand by, because I want to bring in Joe English on this. When we are talking about such the remote area of the Indian Ocean, Joe, I understand that they are facing some typhoons. What sort of weather are they facing in this very remote area?
Well, what the concern is right now is that a storm that was starting to wear out is going to get a little bit stronger. So it just doesn't help matters as far as trying to look around out in the middle of the ocean. But we're talking about what's left of Typhoon or Cyclone Jillian. Still has some energy to burn, and we could see as we go through today and the weekend wind gusts of 70 to 80 miles an hour. Doesn't make it easy when you're flying or riding on the water. It's moving to the northeast in the southeast Indian Ocean, so it really means for the searchers rough seas, poor visibility in spots, and that will be the situation for the weekend. So not going to hit landfall, not going to be an extreme storm, but certainly not helping out in the search, Matt.
All right, Joe, thank you for chiming in on that part. One last question for you, Rob. As we're waiting for more details, hopefully we get some today, especially for the families. It's been 15 days. What sort of information are you particularly, ears listening for?
Well, I'm hoping to hear some information, perhaps another signal, perhaps some information from the satellite or some recording, or perhaps information from the missing information on the simulator. Any of these pieces could give us some more clues that could hopefully give some relief to the families of the passengers.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this morning, and keep it right here with KATU News for continuing coverage of missing plane, the mystery surrounding all of this. In between newscasts, you can get updates on our Facebook, our Twitter, and of course, KATU.com.